Tropical Storm Isaias is bringing destruction to the East Coast. The National Hurricane Center predicts the storm will dump more heavy rain and spawn more tornadoes. One twister in North Carolina killed at least 2 people. Michael George has the latest.
Wow. Isaias toppled trees in Delaware, flooded streets in Pennsylvania, and destroyed a pier in South Carolina. In Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina, where the storm came ashore as a Category 1 hurricane, many homes flooded and several caught fire. Storm surge and high winds smashed boats together along the coast, and a tornado wiped out a mobile home park in Windsor. At least 2 people died and several are missing.
It's nothing there. You can actually see the frame of a mobile home across the field. Vehicles are turned over. It's just very sad.
The National Weather Service reported more tornadoes in Maryland, Virginia, Delaware, and New Jersey. Up and down the I-95 corridor, more than 1.2 million customers lost electricity. In Maryland, where some roads are underwater and others are completely washed out, emergency workers rescued 2 people whose car was swept off the road. Here in New York, the city has set up these giant tubes filled with water. They're called tiger dams, and they're meant to stop the East River from flooding streets here in Lower Manhattan. The city was also under a rare tornado warning for several hours.
It's not business as usual. It means stay indoors, stay safe, make sure your family's safe.
Forecasters say Isaias hasn't lost as much steam as expected after making landfall. It held its nearly hurricane-strength winds for at least 12 hours. One bit of good news, Isaias is not lingering in any one place for long. Crews are already beginning to restore power in North Carolina. Michael George, CBS News, New York.
CBS News meteorologist and climate specialist Jeff Berardelli joins me now. Hi, Jeff. So what is the latest on this storm's path?
I got to tell you, this thing hit like a freight train. It hit hard. It was quick. I mean, it rained for several hours. It was gone like that. But along with its track, it had wind gusts as high as 109 miles an hour in Long Beach Island, New Jersey, and other reports of wind gusts around 80 to 90 miles an hour. Lots of power outages, hundreds of thousands of people. The storm now is already located near Albany, New York. Within 3 to 4 hours, it will cross the Canadian border and be gone. But it's still producing a lot of heavy rain anywhere from Albany, mainly northward into the mountains of Vermont and New Hampshire and into the Adirondacks as well. So that is the latest. And by the way, the winds are around 60 miles an hour still with this storm, but it's moving really, really fast. And so it will be a distant memory by midnight, really, across most of the Northeast.
Oh, yeah, we had lots of branches in our yard out here. You know, Jeff, there were hundreds of thousands of people reporting power outages across the East Coast. What is the biggest threat right now with this storm?
It's still wind, although now the threat is further north. So it's mostly the northern half of New England where the winds are still going to gust to 65, maybe occasionally to 70 miles an hour. In fact, we have a bunch of maps we want to show you. First of all, I want to show you the jet stream map. It's going to explain to you why it was able to retain its strength so long. Typically, as soon as a tropical system comes on shore, it loses its energy like that. But this one ended up merging with a jet stream, and that repowered the system. And what the system was able to do in any of the big thunderstorms was take that wind that was just above the surface, these 90-mile-an-hour winds, bring them down to the surface. So that's the kind of wind that we saw in some places. Now, the Long Beach Island gust, that was a tornado. And there were several reports of tornadoes today, and that's very, very common in the eastern side, especially the northeastern quadrant of the storm. But you can see how the jet stream and the storm merged on that graphic right there. So let's show you the winds that we expect to see as we head through the evening. Again, we've had those 80 to 90 mile an hour wind gusts. We had a storm surge in Battery Park, so in the southern part of Manhattan, of 4.5 feet. Luckily, the storm hit around low tide and not high tide. Otherwise, there would have been a lot of flooding. But there's the wind as we head through the evening hours. It's mainly across Burlington, Rutland, Manchester, New Hampshire, up into Maine, Caribou. We'll see those winds. But look at that. Almost all of the really strong winds are gone after midnight by 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And it's still going to remain breezy through tomorrow morning, but that is it as far as that goes. Now, as far as rainfall goes, there was as much as about 6 inches of rain in parts of the middle Atlantic and also eastern Pennsylvania. That's where the heaviest rain has fallen. Now, it doesn't have as much moisture, so the rain is starting to die out with the system as well.
So, you know, Jeff, forecasters had predicted a busier than usual hurricane season. What are you watching for now?
So we're about to get into a long-term climatological pattern. When I say long-term, I mean probably about a 10-day pattern where we have a tendency for sinking air in the Atlantic Ocean, meaning air is sinking or pushing down clouds from forming, and so that doesn't allow these tropical systems to form. But that will only last 10 days. And then as soon as that's gone, we'll get back into a more favorable pattern that'll happen around the middle of August or so. And that will also coincide, unfortunately, with what is usually the uptick in season around the middle to the end of August. Water temperatures throughout all of the Atlantic in the tropics are at record levels or very close to record historic levels. So what we're dealing with is a situation where we're going to see the activity pick up. And, you know, we're already way above record pace. You can see those water temperatures. Some of the water temperatures are boosted by climate change, by human-caused climate change. So the dice are kind of loaded, if you will, for an active hurricane season as it is. And because we're already at record pace, I do think we're going to see one of the most active hurricane seasons on record. It would be really hard to beat 2005 because we had 28 storms in 2005. We actually had to utilize the Greek alphabet. Hopefully we won't have to do that. But if we get over 20 storms, we will be the second most active hurricane season on record. And it just goes along with everything else that's going on in 2020, unfortunately.
Oh, my gosh. What a year we've had. All right, Jeff Berardelli, thank you so much.
Absolutely. You're welcome.